turds in every punch bowl. It's just depending on what level you're at, there's less. That was it.
Holy, how did that feel when you got the word, hey, you're done here, it's over?
Pretty awful.
For a reason, I never ever got to work with the Rangers. I'm interested in the culture because I don't know about it.
B Company 375 is the company that was involved in Somalia in the Black Hawk Downs in '93. It's to say, it's playing tactics in various environments. Regiment is a unit. So when you first go to the Ranger Regiment, you are not Ranger qualified. You haven't been to Ranger school. You are serving in the Ranger Regiment. Of the pipeline for you as a young soldier in the Ranger Regiment is to attend Ranger school. So typically do it early on in their career when they're young. They go to Ranger school, they're on their Ranger tab, then they come, you know, Army. Right. And there's in the you get your you be Ranger. Be like the reality. You know, I think going soft school of having just made a mistake. So I think it's make them full confidence. If I keep that myself on track where I need to be.
What's the culture like at the Ranger Regiment? You
Yeah.
said you got in at 94, 95, and
Um, train in place in the army. You know, some training. Then there's two, maybe can compare to the big the other.
And
Tanks. Because I was Charlie, I was a platoon, I was a mortar guy. And because I was an 11 Charlie, they looked a few more options with me than they did like a standard rifleman 11 bro. So they sent me to what's called Kelly Hill, where 3rd Division was still on Fort Benning. So all I did was move across post, which I think was also made it hard because I just left over there.
Damn. Yeah, that.
Now I'm over here. Most guys went what's called worldwide assignment, where then you go away to some other installation or somewhere. But because I was a mortar guy, they sent me to 3rd ID.
Okay. I've worked with a lot of other soft units, being a SEAL, and then some of my time at the agency. For some reason, I never ever got to work with the Rangers. When the entire team's involved in mission planning and putting together target packages and all that kind of stuff, and everybody has their specific duties, and everybody is, I guess what I'm trying to say is all ideas are welcome to the.
Sure.
You might get a fool if you got a dumbass fucking idea, but
Yeah.
but there's always a way to get your idea in there, and it's encouraged. Is it like that in the Ranger
It
Regiment?
wasn't when I was there. So Ranger Regiment back then was, they were the trained airborne infantrymen on the planet. So they shot more, they jumped more, they fast roped, they did some things that conventional forces didn't do, but they were still run like an infantry rifle platoon.
Okay.
So you had 4 squads, you had two team leaders in each, or team leaders and squad leaders, platoon sergeant, platoon, first sergeant, company commander. Like they were led like a standard rifle company.
Very rank structured.
Very structured, absolutely. Yeah, you had to earn your keep at the lower levels before you were, moved up the ranks and were a non-commissioned officer and in charge of people. Yeah, it was very much led like traditional, any rifle platoon in the Army.
Okay.
Yeah, nowadays, and they do a lot more than they ever used to. I would imagine it's still run relatively the same though, because regardless of the amount of training they received, you're still an 18-year-old kid. You're still a 19-year-old kid, and lack the combat and personal experience to make appropriate decisions. So I imagine they still run it mostly the same, even though they do a lot more things. Like CQB wasn't really a part of a lot of what Regiment did when I first got there. Now those guys are they're an extension of JSOC and hit targets on their own, and yeah, they're fully capable of doing things.
Yeah, it seems like, everybody's done a lot of growing after 20 years of war. From the outside looking in to all these different units and interviewing guys, to me, it appears that the Ranger Regiment is the one that has probably grown the most professionally, and I guess coming from where they were pre 9/11 to where they are now, seems to me they've done the most changing as a whole. But would you agree?
Yeah, everybody's involved. I think what Global War on Terror, what GWAT did was it got a lot of people doing basically direct action missions where that necessarily wasn't their previous profile. As an example, you had ODAs, you had Green Berets out there whose specialty is unconventional warfare and by, through, and with, using and training indigenous forces to achieve an objective, amongst a bunch of other things. But they were doing DA, they were doing raids and assaults, and yeah, sure, maybe with some indig at some point, but they were also doing them unilaterally. Like that happened because of GWAT and so many missions and op tempo and all that stuff, and I think it happened across the soft committee.
Yeah.
And I think that happened to the regiment as well. I think they got pulled in and utilized in a lot more circumstances that they necessarily weren't built for. They were built for airfield seizures. They were built for jumping into, like Just Cause in Panama or 83 in Grenada. They were built to jump in, seize an airfield, eliminate the threat on that airfield, and establish an airhead to bring in follow-on forces to do other things, or quick reaction stuff, or whatever. What they morphed into was an independent force that had a capability equivalent to most special operations units. So I personally don't think it was the correct thing, but I think it's just what happened because we were so busy.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I mean, later on in my career, I watched how we utilized the Ranger Regiment go from utilizing them in support of us to utilizing them as another action arm so that we could do more things at a time.
Oh.
And there's pros and cons to that. You expand your workforce and your ability to hit more targets at a time, and more on the battlefield. I think you lose a little something. Some things that are brought to the table with seasoned special operators that you don't necessarily get with an 18 or 19-year-old kid. And I don't know because I don't have the experience, but it's probably similar in the SEAL community. You have the SEAL community, which is guys from 18 or 19 to the end of the career, but then you have SEAL Team 6, which is more seasoned SEALs that have been there, done that, and learned from those experiences. I'm sure there's some huge differences between the two.
Absolutely. What kind of stuff were you doing after you got through the training pipeline at the regiment?
They had a cycle. So, you'd have stretches, and this is my recollection, but we'd have cycles where we were doing a lot of shooting and a lot of range time. And then we would do what they called fixed wing and rotary wing bilats. So fixed wing was like you do a lot of jump and field seizures for a stretch and different things and whatever. And then you do rotary wing bilats where you do a lot of, in kilos and fast rope training and all that. You sort of had a cyclical thing. And then you had your ready force cycle where you were the on-call battalion. In the event that somebody hits 911 for the United States Army, you had to be ready to go anywhere in, I don't know what it is, like 18 hours or less or something. But so it was a typical cycle of operation and training, range time, the various bilats, mount training where you're doing urban stuff, patrolling training, MTTs, so little courses like basic demolition or whatever those other skills were. And then you had your pre-deployment phase later on. If you were deploying back then, it was just prep for if something in phase. And then you had your down phase or an on alert cycle, and they would do block lead and things like that. But yeah, I think the biggest difference for me between the regiment and when I went out to the regular army was in the regular army, there'd be holds where you did nothing. Dudes would just be sitting in their barracks rooms, doing correspondence courses or hiding out, basically. And it was kind of accepted. Looking back years later, and things have a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Conventional units just don't get millions and millions of dollars to buy ammunition and rounds to be out on the range and training. Whereas, people that fall into the special operations did. So it subsequently increases proficiency and all those things. But yeah, there were a lot of time where you're just doing nothing, and it's a shock.
What did you deploy with the regiment?
Well, no, not to combat. Peacetime. I did a deployment per se, and we went to Germany. We jumped in and did a 40-mile movement to an objective. And
40-mile movement?
40-mile movement through Germany. And I want to say...
On foot?
I want to say Stan in the regiment. He might have been 3rd Ranger Battalion commander at the time. I think Colonel Lazinski maybe was the 75th, but regardless, they want to prove that the regiment had the capability to jump in behind enemy lines and move an excessive distance like that and then still have effects on target. So we did a 40-mile infill over a couple of days. A mortar guy, so I had a base plate and I had a 120-pound rucksack and skinny little 135-pound kid or whatever back then. But it was awesome. It sucked, but it was neat to do something like that and go, we just went in and then hit a target.
How long did that take?
I think it took us 2.5 days. Yeah, 3. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that was really neat. We did some stuff with the Germans. We did some cross training. Got our German Schneer marksmanship badge. Did a did a farm jump and some other things, and so that was literally like my first year in the Army. So like I thought all that was just normal. Like,
Yeah.
that was going on all over the place. So that was it. So have my doing examples, but you I guess but I'll be where I was like, maybe I'm not leaving. The time came. Settled from Germany and I left. But I mean, it was a different experience. Some years, and it's just like you know there's uh,
Yeah. Well, let's get into OTC. So you made it, your selection, you're going through the training pipeline. What's day one?
I just remember showing up and being like, man, this place is serious. And I'm like, I was so like light. A lot of that was, I think, like a defense mechanism. Like, oh, you smiling and happy. You gotta like me, you know? But that was actually one of the only times I took a photo and didn't smile. Was when we checked in that day. Because it's like, da, 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 and then they get your badge, and I'm just like, in like a collared shirt, like dressed down, you know? And I was like, looking back on it, I was like, this is one they got. Because I smiled in every other photo, which is like kind of, you know, if you look at the wall, it's like where all the graduating classes, there isn't like a, oh, they're going to graduate 12 people per operators and direct support. Like, it's going to be this many. No, you'll see classes with one. You'll see two, but they have them historically across since 1978. And it's really cool to be a part of that. Once you finish, I mean, the training course, but that's only the beginning. You know,
How long is the training course?
it's about 6 months of, you know, we're very heavily focused in marksmanship and close quarters battle. So I'm really focused in hostage rescue and learning what it actually means to, you have a new job. Like you come with your body of experiences and different services and different, you know, jobs, and that's cool. But if you can't let go of the fact that you're being asked to do a new one, you won't make it. And I say make it, you never make it. Even when you graduate and go across the hall, it's selection is an ongoing event.
What's the attrition rate like once you're
That's
in?
when there's no metric to it's truly like it only takes one person to believe in you for you to make it like to the next gate, you know. And but at the point, if everyone is unanimous, you're gone through the training course. And then beyond that, like, one's job is on the chopping block. It's yours. They're gonna hand you a tool. Here's your hooligan tool, Halligan, and be the best hooligan tool carrier there is. And then slowly ask you to do more and do more as your aperture starts to open. and you could see the room, see more of your awareness starts to pick up, because it's not. I mean, they've already selected the right person, and now it's just a matter of is this person like continuing to adapt and develop to the environments that we're throwing him in.
So it never ends.
No, it's you struggle to be mediocre in a place like that, in the highest performing of people on this planet in one place, and it's a lot, but it just depends on what your priorities are, what's your goals.
Where did you go?
I went to one of the Saber squadrons. So the Storks, like, and this is the unit was during the 70s. There was the not kidnap ransom, but the flights were being held hostage and airliners, and the military DoD was asked to, all right, here's a problem set. What's your answer, or what's your solution? So the DoD looked at LAR in the 70s and were like, we got this. Maybe they could do it, and like air takedown, aircraft takedown, and the answer was we didn't have something. So, Beckwith and his vision with the 2-2 SAS, and spending time there, and the regiment in the United Kingdom, adopted and founded what was originally the 2A and B squadron, and everything was built off of that. The spine is the long hallway where the 2 Saber squadrons are off of it, but then all the support mechanisms are there too. But grown the mission. So in the 90s they stood up C, and a C squadron from Black Down and Mogadishu and in that time frame, and then in the late 2009 they stood up a 4th squadron, and then we grew exponentially to dismantle the caliphate in ISIS, because the whole political environment of we can't go back into boots on the ground again and this and that. What the fuck are we gonna do? They're gonna come here and cut our heads off.
Yeah.
They're literally cutting Americans' heads off. What are we doing about it? Well, we got these units out there that can you reach out, touch somebody. Okay, cool. That's great to be a part of, which I was, and but that's only one piece of it. We have to we estimated them by a lot, and we got a look under the hood going out in early 2015 when we were going after the Abu Saif and Abu Tunisia. They were like the oil here, and they were just running oil in the black market, and they took over old oil refinery towns and forced labor, and if you wouldn't work, they kill you, from the Syrian people, and but they were also Kayla Mueller was the last American was alive, and we tried to go and rescue on a couple attempts, her and a few others, but we were just a little bit, and I say it's a moving piece to get us over into those positions, and then not spook them. And there's so much that goes into it, and you get really one swing at it, and then you have to. Bottom line is that it's just the pure evil, and radical extremism. You take Al Qaeda, you take ISIS, and then you make ISIS into Sunni extremists, where we you govern from a political campaign promise, and you pull us out of Iraq, and 2 things happen. The Sunni extremism takes the fuck off, and then guess who hates them? Sunni, Shia Iran. Like they come in and fill our void where we as a country like left in 2010, 11 in Iraq. And then it's like, then it becomes this enemy of my enemy is my friend. And because everyone hated ISIS, but we had to operate in that environment. I say we, as representatives of the U.S. government, battle space owners even. Our unit became battle space owners. It's like, what? There were the like Syrian Democratic Forces. You got us and like hundreds of Syrian SDF, like real time, like pushing this flot. While Russia's coming from this side, Iran's just doing all its thing and trying to Israel off the face of the earth. And like that's where they've always wanted to get to. And this was an opportunity they seized years ago. And the thing that kept them from going straight to there was ISIS. And it kept them, more preoccupied while we had to grow to the ability to hold terrain. We're the hostage rescue direct action. High value target force.
I didn't realize you guys were doing that.
Yeah, this whole boots on the ground shit. Like, so I have people ask me under different presidential times, what'd you think about serving under this or that? Like for Obama, for example, I have a skewed perspective of what it's like to serve in the military during that time frame because I do my job. Us in SEAL Team 6 got to and fucking get after it, but at a certain point, we just became, well, they'll just deal with it. They got it. That button. They push that button and we're like, poof. There ain't no return button on there. Like, how do you get home? So there's no fucking, oh yeah, you guys got to get back. Okay, cool. And this going and doing that mission, it was the perfect size target for a squadron of us to flood, and we went so deep into, we caught them with their pants down. They were literally like, oh my God, the Americans are here. And I think we killed 40 of them. Internal to the target, we probably killed 15, close range, and then external to the target, they were down the streets, dark as fuck, just shooting fucking wrong buildings and stuff, man, and just getting their jihad on. And they're just I went back up to the roof to go throw the fast ropes off the top of the roof, and the snipers are up there just filling dudes in. And I was just like, what is going on up here? It was a firefight from the moment we got.
What is it like when you first show up?
No encouragement, no discouragement at all. You could walk in with a broken leg and they go color and number. You got to be standing by, ready to go when the trucks come in. On the 40 miler,
yeah,
keep moving. Hardest thing I ever did in my life, bar none. I just gushed. Sergeant Vickers, congratulations. You successfully completed the stress phase of Delta Force selection and assessment.
What is it like when you first show up?
First show up, you get into, you bring in, give you more testing, you get more evals. We're kind of honing it down. If initially it was a broad brush type of, a coarse screen, now they're getting you in the smaller. They're going to dial things in where they can get a better handle on what you are like person, what you think they're going to be like as a Delta Force operator, and they're going to dial you in. Then you do a PT test again. You do another PT test. Day one, once the things get going, do a PT test, standard Army PT test, push up, sit up, 2-mile run. Then you do a swim test, 100 meters, fatigues and boots, which you can't bluff your way through that. You better know how to swim or you're not going to make it. And I knew that. So I trained up over and over and over. And it got to the point where I timed myself. I swam an hour in fatigues and boots. Because I learned how to do it, not fight the fatigues and boots, just go with you know what I'm talking about. And so did the swim test, and then that night, 18-mile rucksack. So one day, day one, PT test, swim test, 18-mile rucksack march.
Holy shit.
And if you don't make the cut on any of them, you're gone. I take that back. They on the PT test. Memory serves me correct, no rest on the swim test and no retest on the 18-miler. But they were the very next day. they'll give you a reason on the PT test. And you can imagine that I knew one guy that passed that, was able to pass it the next day that didn't pass it the day prior, which you kind of go, is that? But he did. He passed it the second day, but he didn't pass it the day prior. The average guy, it's going to be impossible after you've done it the first day, failed, and the swim test passed, and did the 18-miler and passed.
Yeah.
You try to make up the PT test the next day, it ain't going to happen.
Is the 18-miler, is that a land navigation thing?
No, just the rucksack march on roads.
Okay.
Through hilly terrain, very hilly terrain.
Where are you treated?
Totally, I mean, no encouragement, no discouragement at all through the whole course. And they did that on purpose to try to get you. Then once again, they put it all back on you. Job, you know what I mean? Or, hey, dude, you got to pick up the pace. None of that kind of stuff. It was, you could walk in. I used to tell people, you could walk in with a broken leg and they'd go color and number. And you'd have to have a color, and, they give you at the beginning of the day, they'd put color and number. So you'd have to remember, Chartreuse 43, show me where you're at and where you came from. Because it's all land nav based through serious hilly terrain. Like a buddy of mine said, there aren't mountains there, but there's some damn big hills. And that's the truth. Camp Dawson is surrounded by damn big hills.
So each point is timed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's not the full course.
No, each
I mean, the
point's
full
timed.
course is essentially
Yeah.
timed, but you don't really know where exactly you're going.
No. You might have 4 points one day, you might have 6 points the next day.
How long does this last?
6 days. And then on the 7th day, you do the 40-miler. This is stress phase. Okay. We talked about the PT test, swim test, 18-miler. Now, after that, you get into basically, for lack of a better term, the training phase. They're going to teach you how to do land navigation. And the reason they did that used to be back in the day, you just went right into stress phase. But now this isn't fair. Because there's guys who would probably make it that don't know how to do, they've never had land navigation training. They would put you through 10 days to 2 weeks-ish, more 10 days of the best land navigation training in the U.S. Army. It has to be the best land navigation in the U.S. area, probably in the world. I mean, magnificent land navigation training. You had cadre living, cadre led, land navigation. It was just magnificent. Really, really good. Map reading, dead reckoning, you go around hills, mountains, all that it was just really, really good training. It was superb. But it was also kind of grinding you down. So everybody got to a certain level. You have a stud or whatever. He's not 100% going into stress. You're going through the same hills, rocky terrain, twisting your ankle, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of taking even the studs and grinding them down a bit. So when they get ready to do stress phase, they're not on their A game. If they're lucky, they're on their B- game.
Gotcha.
And then you start stress. Stress phase is that 6 days, with the 7th day being the 40-mile. And you stay out in the woods in a tent in the environment. You're eating Emmys. You get, at the end of the day, you'll get in these trucks or Humvees. At the time I did it, it was trucks. And you don't know where you're going. The guys who don't make it that day go back to Camp Dawson. The guys that make it for that day, pass, they go to the base camp. And they put up their tent, and you eat your MREs, and then you crash out, and you tell you what time you got to be up. It's on you. They're not going to wake you up in the morning. You got to be, you got to get yourself up. You got to put away gear, and you got to be standing by, ready to go when the trucks come in to pick you up and take you. Then they take you back out to another point, and they, Chartreuse 43. Or they're going to give you a different color and number that day. Vickers, purple 1-2, truck number 3. I jump on, and I have to remember purple, 1-2, my color and number for that day. And then you go out, they bring you out purple 1-2. Your points there. You go over the same thing. You take it out. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. The map. Show me what you got. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. Have a good one. That's the only encouragement you're going to have a good one. That's it.
And the
You go
40
through the
miler.
process. The 40 miler, now get to that. There were people that didn't finish one day that still made the course. And you're like, how can that be? My call is, in a way, the standards are the holy grail of the unit. There's only a handful of people that have ever known the standards. I mean, that is the deepest, darkest secrets in that organization. I was in the unit for 15 years and I had no idea what the standard. I could guess, but I had no idea. Only when you got to a certain point, like the commander or the command sergeant major, or you were the selection commander or selection sergeant major, would you be read in on the tea leaf.
So
You'd
there's
be read
only
in on
really
selection.
two people that make the determination if you fit the standard.
Yes. Really? Yeah.
Cadre that are there don't
Oh,
know
no.
the standard.
They have no idea.
No.
Oh, I have no idea. None.
For the selection, for the guys going through selection,
Mm-hmm.
if nobody knows the time, then time is obviously important, but they may identify something in a, what would you call it, a trainee?
What do you mean?
The guys going selection.
Yeah, candidate.
Candidate. So they may identify a candidate that doesn't meet the time standard, but they like
Yeah, no, wouldn't matter. If you don't meet the time standard, you could be a rock star, and it wouldn't matter.
How would nobody this general, it's a genuine question. I'm not like poking holes in it. I'm just trying to understand. I mean, how would more people not figure out what the time is if you could just go through the times and go, that guy made it, that guy,
Yeah, but you
obvious
can't-
under
But the
X
thing
time.
is, all you had was you. The only nation you had as a cadre was your little small vision of the world. You didn't see the whole. You didn't see him at this point, this guy at this point,
Okay.
this guy. Yeah,
So they compartmentalize.
Yeah, it's compartmentalized. You always only saw your piece of the puzzle. You didn't see what he was doing. You didn't see what he was reporting in. The only guy that got out was the S&T sergeant major, who was out there running it. Yep.
What
I mean,
was
it
your
would be something to the point that go walk. If you had to go up to his truck or something, you'd be like, stop, and he would put everything away. So you couldn't come up and look over his shoulders. Yeah, what do you need? I mean, it was top secret, bro. Top secret.
Do you remember your time?
40 miler, yeah, 16. Now, according to the book, according to Charlie Beckwith's book, Delta Force, you had 20 hours to do the 40 miler. Had to do 2 hours, 2 miles an hour in very hilly terrain. Very hilly terrain. Some of it on roads, some of it on trails, some of it across country. And you had to do it in 20 hours. I believe it's accurate. I think that's legit. I did it 16 hours, 20 minutes. The 40 mile.
Damn. Let's move it.
Yeah. Now, dude, I know some guys who did it in unbelievable times. Unbelievable.
What was your strategy?
On the 40 miler,
Yeah.
keep moving. Take the simplest path. Because I knew people that had tried to take shortcuts and it bit them in the ass. They got nailed in moral. And they completely lost track of where they're at. They had no idea where they're at. They were trapped. And they couldn't get out of it. So I would just take, there's one big hill, gigantic monster hill after you river crossing. I want to say it's about 25 miles in. And you got your next point is at the top of the hill. I kept it simple. I basically did the switchback road all the way up. Well, a lot of other guys just did this number, and most of them didn't make it because they would get caught in mountain laurel. Well, number one, it would smoke you to death.
Yeah.
It would be so incredibly difficult that 25 miles into a 40-mile rucksack march, and you're dead reckoning at the top hill. I mean, I know people that did it, but as a general rule, it was a kiss of death. But I did switchback all the way up till I could see that top road. I cut over to it and came in. But I just kept it simple, stayed focused. I didn't try to do anything fancy, kept moving. I stopped one time to have a little bit of an MR. That was it. I kept moving the whole time. I wasn't worried about running it. I was just trying to stay positive and stay moving the whole time.
When do you find out that you passed?
The 40 miler, When you get to the last point, they call up, and they, Purple 12's here, Vickers, and they'll run the numbers. And they'll go, okay, send him on up. And and they go, okay, Vicker or Purple 1, 2, your next point is at the top of that. Basically, it was a power line clearing. And at the very top, maybe a kilometer, not very far at all, you're greeted by the S&T sergeant and the S&T captain or commander. That's who greets you at the top. And if you don't make it, you go over here. If you do make it, you go over here by the fire. And they're like, Sergeant Vickers, congratulations. You successfully completed the stress phase of Delta Force selection and assessment. They started crying. I mean, I just gushed. And I'm sure I wasn't the only one that did that. Hardest thing I ever did in my life, bar none. Bar none. Out of 88 people that tried out, that started, 13 made it, and 11 got through OTC. So 11 guys made it through OTC, crossed the hall into one of the Sabre squadrons out of 88.
They basically carjacked a semi-truck. They stuffed them in the back of the trunk of the car. I popped the trunk and let's do Iraqis out.
Guys.
And I thought, man, no wonder the bad guys think we are the greatest nation in the world.
Your next deployment to Iraq and all the vehicle interdiction stuff you're doing, let's go into some of that.
Yeah, so came back from the Q Corps. The next rotation over was a different one. So things had kind of evolved. We weren't doing 24-hour ops anymore. We were running day-night, different outstations around the country. A couple weeks into that rotation, we decided we were going to stand up a daylight vehicle interdiction cell. So we were going to use helicopters and intelligence collection to target visuals. And when they left structures or house wherever they were and they were mobile, we could hit them in the spot at the right time, minimizing external threat and civilians and everything else, maximizing our ability to get exactly who we were after. So at this point in the war, intelligence collection was fantastic. Like, we had a lot of air assets, we had a lot of drones and things that were providing real-time information and visual stuff that we could see. So we would build target packets on folks. We would watch guys, we pattern a life them, and basically we were pre-staged at Balad. And when they got into a certain area where we felt like we could go get them, we'd on the helos and we'd go get them. My team was a completely new batch of folks at this point. So I see roughly at the time, and basically we had a bunch of fresh guys out of OTC. Weird thing about the unit, they were all young guys. Some guys don't end up over there till way late career. Some guys end up there early like I did, in their career. So it was kind of a mixed bag, but they were new to the unit and had never been overseas with us. We were really good at what we were doing. So we were aggressively targeting foreign fighters, terrorists that were a part of the network. And we did so.
And these are key players.
Yeah.
Your everyday fucking ground fighter. It's not, we're gonna set an ID up and then go to a party. These are key players that you guys are going after.
Yeah,
and a lot of them.
A lot of them. It led to a lot of very successful mission sets where you knew exactly who you were after. You were watching that individual, you watched them get into a vehicle, and then you flew up alongside and confirmed that, hey, there's nobody but exactly who we think in that vehicle. They're all military-age males. They're all our prime targets, and we're gonna deal with that threat. So very successful. We had some funny ones in there just to lighten it up after that heavy last segment.
Yeah.
One time, I think it's my one and only hostage rescue, although a number of them have been done over the years by the Navy guys and by us. One in particular during this daylight vehicle interdiction phase is we were watching a couple of bad guys, and they left the structure they were in, and they hadn't quite broken the box of where we needed them to be to launch yet. While they were en route to that location, they stopped off at a gas station. We watched, it was a car full of 4 dudes. We watched them get out of the vehicle. They went up to a semi-truck and basically carjacked the semi-truck. So they took the 2 Iraqis out of the semi-truck, the driver and passenger. They stuffed them in the back trunk of the car. 2 guys got in the car, the other 2 guys got in the semi-truck went one way, the car went the other, and we went, well, guess we're doing a hostage rescue, a couple of Iraqis. So literally within of these two shitheads kidnapping two random Iraqis and stealing their truck. We had stopped the vehicle, killed those two, and I popped the trunk and left. And I thought, man, no wonder. There was a couple of us, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like, come on. And they were freaked out, like they had no idea. Like they got car check point, got stuffed in a trunk, probably thought they were gonna die. Next time the trunk opened the trunk and there's two Americans fully killed standing there over top of them helping them out. And I thought, man, no wonder bad guys think we are the greatest nation in the world. Like they just did this, and 9-10 minutes later we were on. And so that was kind of a neat point. But yeah, there was a lot of good things that happened in that stretch. A lot of guys taken off the map. It was cathartic in that that was kind of the anger phase for me. You know, I was really upset about things that had happened in 05 and guys that we had lost.
I mean, before we get into that, it sounds like you guys have just killed an entire deck of cards.
Yeah, easy.
Do you get numb to that? I mean, do you even fucking care anymore that, I mean, these are all key players, or is it just going to work?
It depends. You know, some guys get more in the intelligence picture and exactly who and what and why we're doing what we're doing. I think I got a little more numb as the years went by. I think there's an evolution in empathy that occurs in combat that people don't talk very often. It doesn't mean that you're making bad decisions. It means that the decision matrix, or the amount of time that it takes you to get to that decision to pull the trigger, gets less. So it's, and I've said it before, like Spidey sense, where you just know this is bad and your reaction times get quicker, or you feel like something's about to go bad or whatever. But some of it's just, it's just a reduction in empathy. So no, for me, just bad guys. You know, they were guys that were going to kill. I didn't kill them. And I felt the same about my teammates and all the things that they were doing. So yeah, you know, like I said before, like we're the good guys, and I always felt like we conducted ourselves as a target, and you just, you know, put some guy, and then you picked up his young child and gave it back to the mother, in some effort of consoling the trauma that they just went through. You know, they don't know any better, but yeah, I think you do over time get a little cold and lose a little bit of empathy as it goes by, and I think that kind of happens to everybody.
Yeah. We can move on.
All right. So that rotation, that was probably one of our better rotations, in that it was one of the healthiest cycles we ever had. We're there. You know, we were stationed in Balad. We were getting up, working out. We were eating 3 squares a day. We weren't doing night ops. It was all daylight stuff.
It was all daylight?
Daylight. Active. And it hadn't been done. Nobody done a daylight vehicle helo-borne interdiction since the one that they did in Somalia in '93, chasing Mohammed Farid Adid, you know, and or whatever the guy's name was, Otto, or whoever they rolled up doing one. But yeah, it hadn't been done in a long time. Really, really effective, not just for that rotation, but it was effective for the rotation after us. The guys continued to do it for another 60 days. So we literally cleaned the board in terms of, you know, bad guys and influence on the battlefield, you know, high value targets. Like, we really cleaned house, period. For us, you know, like I told you, the fun one was the hostage rescue, but sort of towards the tail end, we had one where it was some guys that we were tracking related to AMZ, Abu Musab al-Zawi, right? But one of the few objective names I remember, it was like Objective Mayor, but it was a daylight vehicle interdiction that turned into a full-blown helo assault. And so whether they had been used to our pattern of activity and what we were doing to engage them, or it was just pure dumb luck, they broke off of the road that we were intending to interdict them on, and ended up pulling up to a house in a rural community, a couple of structures together. And they got out and went in the house. We're fairly significant, high-value individuals, so our daylight vehicle interdiction turned into a daylight assault. So we changed course, started heading towards the objective. About 1 minute out, I was, as they say, I was like the lead nav guy. As the 2 IC on the team, my particular team was responsible for navigation to the target, whether it was a vehicle or whether it was a house or whether we were walking or whatever it was. So I was in the helo. I had a tough book next to the laptop, you know, running some map software, tracking our location, and I had the target house pinned on there and had a Predator overhead. So we had a display in the helo also with what the Pred was seeing. So I'm watching this, looking out the window, looking where the target house is, and the pilot flies right by the house. And it's out of a farm field. So I'm screaming and I'm slapping the crew chief and I'm pointing, it's right there, it's right there, it's right there. Well, the pilot's, the chief says something to the pilot. Pilot banks hard, comes back down, sets in the field, and the trail bird comes in and sets down behind us. Well, there's a irrigation ditch, great big irrigation ditch between us. And as we got out and started moving, we all actively, it was two teams worth of guys hit this ditch, and we're all just standing there because we know it's like chest deep and nobody wants to cross this thing. And like a scene out of a World War II movie, our troop commander at the time goes, "Get over there." And I remember laughing because there's a bunch of commandos, afraid to cross this little body of water. And we crested the other side of the trench line. And then luckily, the guys just sort of starburst out of the house. And so there was a lot more than we thought. It was 8 to 10 guys, and they came out guns blazing. So as we're trying to close the distance and deal with some of them, the two little birds that we had in support had caught up to us because the Hawks were a lot faster than the little birds. So when it turned into a helo assault, we didn't want to waste any time. We wanted to get her fresh in case they were spooked and trying to go arm themselves, which is what they did. But so as they squirted out, the little birds came in. And so there's this weird daylight thing where we're firing, maneuvering across this field towards the house as these guys go in every direction. The little birds came in with guys on the pods, and they're shooting down, and the bad guys are shooting up. One of the pilots took one through his foot, straight through his foot, didn't tell anybody, finished the whole operation. It wasn't until we got back we found out he had a bullet hole right through the bottom of his boot. Just kept flying the mission. We had another guy take one into his weapon, so it didn't penetrate rifle, but hit him right in the rifle.
Damn.
On the pod. So anyway, target goes down. We're all good. Everybody's okay, minus and the bad guys are all dead, but every single one of those guys had a body bomb on. Every single one. Was wearing a rigged body bomb. None of them nated. The two vehicles that were in basically the front yard, they had parked the car, were like two of those minibuses. Both of them fully loaded with explosives. They were VBIEDs that they were getting ready to use. And the realization hit us that when we flared and turned, when we missed the target and came back in, if they would have just happened to be able to clack off one of those two trucks, it would have taken down both helos and probably killed everybody in our troop.
Shit.
But fortunately for us, and this is the way war goes, what's the saying? Better to be lucky than good, or whatever.
Yeah.
We were lucky that day. And the intel that came off of in particular was some of the intel that utilized to target AMZ, which we had rotated out, but the very next rotation is when they dropped all those bombs and killed him, and confirmed that he was killed. Yeah, it was a really successful rotation. Mentally, it was probably good because we were really getting after it, and we all had a lot of baggage from 05. So we were really effective. We were really engaged, and yeah, it was, and we didn't lose anybody. So it's a good trip.
Man, you've been a part of a lot of high-profile stuff.
Yeah, weird, lucky timing.
Yeah.
It's funny how it all plays out, but you look back on it and you go, "Wow, I got to do some significant, not a lot of guys got to do." And to this day, now I can look back and realize how fortunate I was to live through all that, but to experience all that and to do it with the guys that I did. Yeah.
Well, it's not just luck. There's a lot of hard work that goes into getting
So these guys argued, and I just took the time to just focus and kill as many human beings as I could. They'd fucking shoot at us, we'd fucking level it, move up. They'd shoot at us, we'd level it, we'd up.
What was the mission briefing for Tora Bora? What were you guys doing? What was the
Bin Laden's there, go get him and kill him. End of discussion. Wanted dead or alive. That's it.
How'd you insert?
Fucking Toyota trucks, man. We drove up, drop a daisy cutter. Man, I had old fucking Rusty. I had this red fucking Toyota truck. I would attract mortar fire like you read about, man. It's fucking awesome. And we just drive right up in that bitch, right into the fucking middle. We get out of the truck on my first day. I'm with this other guy. He was like a small guy. He was the guy that in Panama, he shot the machine gun in the barracks and killed all the guys before they got out of bed. So he had been to combat before. I drive my truck to the top mountain, past the tanks. There's fucking savages, the tanks shooting, total fucking chaos, right? There's press to fight our way through the press. We had a guy almost shoot the press. It was great. This is the best thing ever, right? I'm thinking. So we get to the top of the mountain and like, we're just getting mortared like you fucking about. And I was like, I asked that guy, I was like, is this incoming or outgoing? Like, what's going on here, right? Like why? I'm like, this is fucking great. Like, and I just standing there, right? So he kind of like walked back by the truck and just left me there, right? And then like, I don't know, 10 years later, he was like, hey, remember that day on the top of the mountain? Yo, those were incoming, but you had such a fucking smile on your face. I didn't want to ruin it. I was like, I asked you incoming or out. If you said they were, I thought it was like the tank fire and kicking up I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So like, and at the same time, like in the book Kill Bin Laden, like the commander guy, I don't even remember his fucking name, but he's just like, yes, those are your men. And like, you know, Dalton Fury's like, yes, those are my men, you know what I mean? And he's thinking, what the fuck are they doing? You know what I mean? And I'm just over there like, this is fucking great. And like the Savage Commander, like, your men are very brave. Like, your men are brave. Like, they fucking love me, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of what it was like. Total chaos. No idea what was going on all the time. Let's just make the best thing happen right now.
So was that your first kinetic deployment?
Yeah.
As an operator?
Yeah.
Through Ranger, through SF?
Yeah.
In sounds like several years over a Delta as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how did that feel?
Fucking amazing, man. Amazing. And then like typical team shit. I got two guys arguing who's going to be in fucking charge. One's senior by time. One's actually in charge, but he's junior by time to the senior guy. So these guys are arguing. And I just leave them argue. It'd be like, you know, call for a fire mission, linear sheath, fan them out. You know what I mean? Half air, half ground. I'm just fucking working it. And it'd be like, be like, hey, they asked if we're danger close. Say, hey, stop arguing for a minute. Hey, how far are we from the bad guys? 400 yards. They said 600. Yeah, send it. Get behind a rock. You know what I mean? Like, I fucking drop it. You know what I mean? And then, so these guys, and I just took the time to just focus and kill as many human beings as I could. They'd fucking shoot at us. We'd fucking level it, move up. They'd shoot at us. We'd level it. We'd move up. Like, pretty.
Was that affecting you at all? I mean, that's your first. Let's talk about your first kill. You said you were on the 50. Do you remember it?
Yeah. Fucking McMillan 50. We shot dudes like, I don't know, 2,500 meters. The problem is like, look, this is why I'm not fucking claiming 1 million of these fucking kills, because you can't get there from here. But I'll tell you this, the motherfuckers never shot again. How do you know? Mm-hmm. So is this confirmed kills? So like, yeah, we shot people, man, with that 50. It was fucking...
2,500.
Yeah.
Shit.
First 10 days of the war.
That's your first engagement with a...
Yeah. Later, I'd have to go to Special Forces sniper school because I thought I was going to be a sniper team leader in the unit because I'd been a sniper for so long in the unit. And like I'd already had kills, had a big beard. They hated me over there. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not right. But yeah, first 10 days of the war. And then we just killed and captured so many people. Like, I don't think guys really understand, like, you know, the lone survivor story, right? The Taliban, you know, on the Navy SEAL team. You know what I'm saying? And then it didn't go well for the SEALs. Okay. Yo, bring 400 of your friend. Tell them to bring their fucking trucks. Tell them to bring their machine guns. And, like, we would just kill all comers. All comers. You know what I mean? Here are other guys. There's other times we did even more of this in Iraq. We just kill everyone that shows up. So it's like the lone survivor story. Like, I don't even understand it because we would kill hundreds of people in a fucking day. Like, yeah, show up. We'll kill you too. We don't even care. Like, I didn't understand how those things really happened. You know what I mean? Compared to my experience and what I saw. You know what I mean? And then so... literally, man, I can't tell you how many they got where we just killed so many people you can't even count.
So, I mean, no, basically zero rules of engagement. Just kill it and it shows up.
I used to call it State Department by Shrek. I'm the fucking State Department here. I make the decisions. Kill everybody. Let's go. Yeah, I love chaos. It's my jam. I gave you chaos as my jam stick.
Yep. What? Let's talk about some of your singleton missions.
The first one, I had to go back into Tora Bora because I had been there. The premise of going back into Tora Bora is there was a guy, supposedly him and his sons brought bin Laden out. They escorted him into Pakistan, right? And then the goal was find him. So I go out alone. I was out for days, taxis, trucks, hitchhiking, whatever you want to call it. I get to the area. I had a Kent cigarette bag, fucking, a Super 8 VHS. I think it was Super 8, or maybe been 6 mil at that time, but 8 or 6 mil, like in the little recorder. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. In a Kent cigarette bag and like a sat phone. And I just fucking took a cab out of Jalalabad towards Tora Bora Mountains and hitchhiked all the way till I got there.
All by yourself.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, how the fuck do you blend in?
You wear Savage stuff? Yeah.
No terp, no nothing.
Just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? You just shut the fuck up. Yeah, and then like I had to act retarded at a couple of the checkpoints. You know what I mean? Like got to aced, and it's like if I open my mouth, I'm dead. So that's not an option. You know what I mean? And then I just figured I'd mongoloid bass at volume 11. So the guy's like, la 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 la. I'm like, rah, 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 rah. And the guy's like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I got through the checkpoints, and that's how I got the assault force through.